Hodag. The local said something about Wendigo.
Wendigo?
Yeah. See if that helped.
It's definitely not that.
I'm gonna go try to buy a gun. And I saw an ad in the paper, and I'm gonna go see if there's something there. So, yeah. Cause I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I'm frightened. I can't go inside. I don't know. What was it? It was a footstep.
Playing video on its own. Sounds like it was scratching. Sick of the darkness.
It is now 10 a.m. on Sunday the 19th. And, I'm doing better. I talked to Joe last night. And we decided we're going back. We're leaving for the cave in about 2 hours. And packing for this has been interesting. I for the first time in my life, I'm bringing a gun to a cave. And a knife. And a bit of a aid kit with lots of food and water, paper, pencil, all of my climbing rope, as well as about several light sources. And this camera. See, you're probably trying to understand why I decided to go back. And I don't know if I can pinpoint my motivation, but I think closure has a nice fit to it. Because I'm not sitting in a game. I know it sounds stupid, but it does. All tight spaces in the dark, all screen inside of a closed good airplane. People have a thirst for adventure. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. Okay, it has a quote in it. Like Boris likes to say, caving is the last opportunity for exploration. I know a lot of people have disagreed with my pursuit of the cave. I've received a lot of messages, but I'm afraid I don't have a choice anymore. If I'm ever to experience restful sleep in my house again, I have to go back. If I ever want to walk in my own home peacefully, I must return.
Oh wait,
If I want to leave the world and enter the cave, I must return. It's not a choice anymore.
to all my friends and family that have been watching these videos, I just wanted to say, I'll be okay. I expect to arrive either later tonight or tomorrow morning by the latest. So if you're around and you want to stop by the house, I'll show you a video of what's beneath Void's tomb. Until then, this has been Ted's Caving Journal. So I guess I'll see you later.
And that is the end of Ted's Caving caving journal. No, there isn't another video. No, there isn't another entry, and that's where the creepypasta ends as well. So basically what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go through some of the key differences, I guess, between the creepypasta story and this video adaptation that we watched, and then I'll give you what my thoughts and opinions are on what was actually in the game, and then we'll go over the series as a whole and just say what I liked about it. So as far as main differences, there really isn't that many, and that's because the creator of this was super accurate when he actually showed the material. Basically, the key difference is that in the creepypasta, it's written from someone's thoughts, like after these events happen, so it's a lot easier for the creepypasta to be more detailed rather than the video. So an example of this would be when Ted is going through the crawl space after he's freaking out from what he saw in Floyd's tomb, he says, "What is that terrible smell?" He comments about the smell, and you don't really understand what that smell is. But in the creepypasta, Ted describes the smell as smells like something's decaying or dying, and how that smell is kind of taking over the whole cave. And differences like that make sense to not be in the video adaptation, because this is someone's thoughts, and everyone obviously doesn't just blurt their thoughts out loud. And the thoughts that Ted does say out loud in the video adaptation make a lot of sense and are very realistic. Another thing is Ted's thought process
That's
for the
fine.
filming of the adaptation. Ted doesn't film like he's a professional cameraman. Ted films like he's some dude that just bought a camera yesterday and just decided to record this experience and has no experience before that. For example, when he's running out of the cave, he's not running with the camera like this showing you the cave. You either see his feet or you see nothing at all, because bro does not give a damn about recording anymore. He gives a crap about getting out of the cave, and you can see that a lot with how he places the camera, what he's aiming at. You know, sometimes he focuses on what he's looking at rather than actually showing it on camera. A big difference though that I did notice in the last video, for example, Ted says how he saw Joe
did
and
well,
spoke
I
to him.
think.
The reason why Ted sees Joe is because Ted is basically, you know, being driven crazy by all these sounds and seeing things, so he decides to leave his house and go for a drive to see the city lights. And when he gets out of his car there, he just so happens to find Joe, who's doing the exact same thing. You could tell just based on Joe's visual that he's going to be going through the same thing that he has. And that's probably because they both had a direct interaction with whatever it was in Floyd's tomb. And that's when they both decide, like, hey, I'm going to go back, you're going to go back with me. And Joe's like, oh, hell yeah, we need to finish this. We need to find out what's really there. And then when Ted goes to B at his house, B is not as messed with as Ted and Joe are. It's said that all the lights in B's house are on, and obviously he's a little scared, but nowhere as close to Ted and Joe. And that's, I think, because B didn't have an actual, like, super close interaction to whatever was behind Floyd's tomb. But that's really the biggest differences that I noticed, other than like very tiny things, like I said, like Ted not blurting out every thought that he had. So obviously you get some better context to events when you read the creepypasta, which I highly recommend that you do. The link to that will be in the description down below. But other than that, my actual thoughts on what the hell was in the cave, and I want to say that it's one of two things. It's either some kind of paranormal entities or some kind of ancient creature. As far as the paranormal entities go, my thought would be that there's some people were dead and kind of buried in the cave. Ted and B, you know, trying to get through to that side of the cave disturb these spirits, and that's why the paranormal interactions start to escalate, because it goes from just a scream to then, you know, actually messing with them or hurting them physically. For example, whatever happened to Joe and Ted literally being chased out in the last one. Another way to show that this is something paranormal and not something that's actually physically going on is in the creepypasta, it says that the hieroglyphics start to glow as Ted goes past them as he's exiting Floyd's tomb. Obviously, that's not very realistic. That doesn't actually happen in real life. So something weird is going on here that's not normal. And I also think that rock does move on its own. The rock that is said to have moved a few times and that causes a rumbling, I think that's definitely paranormal. Now, as far as the ancient creature thing, the only reason why I say that is because, one, you actually hear Ted get chased by something. Something actually does scream at them, and it would make sense to me if the rock was like this creature's hiding spot or its home. You know, it would the rock back to go back in and protect itself, and it would expose as close to Ted to smell it. It makes sense that way. It doesn't make sense to me how it kind of follows Ted back home, starts to get